Creating and managing change orders within PataBid Quantify electrical estimating software. This also covers the fire sprinkler estimating side and the mechanical estimating side also. It is the same process across all of these. So when we have an estimate here, this estimate may become a project, but if we open it up, we can see that there is takeoff in here. There are details within this estimate that we've put together during the estimating process. And this can go all the way through to closing in here. It's a complete estimate, if you will, all the way out to a final sale price. And let's say that we've won this project. But when we come back here, the owner has issued a change order. Somewhere in here, they would like to change something. More often than not, they're going to want to change, say, receptacles in this room, for example. So we have a number of different means of doing this. If it's something simple, what we can do here is go right back to the estimate management screen. We're going to right click on the estimate and select Start Change Order. And we can give it a name. We'll call this CCN01 receptacles. Oh, and we can spell check that. There we go. Receptacles, activity room 3. There we go. And we can select a template to create this from. If we've got a standard change order template that we want to use, no template at all, I'm going to switch over to our default template here and hit create. And now that will go in underneath our estimate here. And you'll see that the estimate now has this change order statistics area where it's going to track your essentially all of the change orders that you do underneath this estimate with the total and manpower variances in here. When I click on this, I have the standard options of any estimate in here, adjusting pricing sources, labor, any of those sort of things that I may need to adjust in here. I can also drag documents in here if there are specific change order drawings that have been issued. In this particular case, we're going to say that this is just a very simple change order. They want these 4 receptacles in activity room 3 swapped out for GFI receptacles. So I'm going to simply go in here and open this. And then I'm going to add in a blank document here. I can give this a name if I wanted to, but it doesn't really matter too much in here. This is simply going to be a placeholder for our takeoff. So I'm going to plug this in here, and then I'm going to maximize the audit trail because I don't really need the drawing for anything in a simple change order like this. So what I can do is hop into my distribution here. I'm going to select our 15 amp receptacles. I ran this in number 12 in the base bid, and I'm going to take the 10 feet of cable along with those. I could take out the cable. I could leave the cable in. It really depends kind of how you want to do this change order. And I'm going to put -4 in. So minus sign and 4 for the quantity. And hit commit. And you'll see that this goes in as a negative number here, highlighted red, indicating that this is a deduct out of this change order. And then I'm going to select my GFI receptacles. Same sort of thing. I'm going to leave the cable in here, and I'm going to put 4 of these back in. There we are. I've got my change order effectively completed here for this takeoff. I can then go over to my summary screen. In here, I've got my different pricing sources. I can bring in any of the pricing that I may wish to bring in into this change order here. I can adjust the material markups in here. If, for example, we wanted to have a allowance in here for, the change order pricing on this. I can plug this in here. I may skip over, marking up the negative numbers here. There's a number of different ways that you can perform your change order. And once we've got this plugged in, we can see that we have our revised material pricing in here and our revised hours in here. I can then carry this on into closing. Selecting whatever sort of breakdown that I might want. I'm going to leave this on drawing in this case, just to break it out by that change order breakdown that I created. And now we can assign a crew. If we have, say, specific rates for change orders, we can plug those in. So I'm going to throw in a different rate here. If we need to factor these hours, so for example, 0.4 hour variance, I'm simply going to just round that up to 1 here, for example, so that I can have a fixed amount of hours in here. Packages, same sort of situation. We can plug our packages in and out here. Then we get down to subcontracts, equipment if we need any. Again, this is a very simple change order. We don't really have any equipment that we need on this. Overheads. Now this is something that you can plug in your template. If you create a change order template, depends really on what the project contract allows for these. Some will allow you to have specific percentages for this. Others will give you specific items you can include, exclude. There's a number of different pieces in here. This is a small project change order. This isn't going to have a major effect on any sort of overheads, but I may need to include a project manager in here, for example. And that project manager may have a specific allowance for them, that sort of situation. I may want to include a project manager in here though, for allowing for shop drawings, that sort of thing. Any scheduling adjustments that might have to happen. There's only 1 hour of difference to this, so really nothing major in here. I can put a formula in here. So I might want to put in my factored hours and make an allowance of 10% for this. And here we go. That's in there now. $9 whole. Fairly insignificant. When you are doing a change order, though, it's great to get these sort of percentages and such dialed in at the beginning on something small. So there we go. I'm going to up that to 20%, for example. And then we get to our final sale here. And again, I might be allowed to have 10% on this according to the contract documents. So I'm going to plug that in. I don't need any bonding in here. This came in with my template. So I'm simply going to remove that. There's no change in the bonding requirements. And I have a total adder right now of $334. Taking this into the proposal here, I'm going to select New Proposal. And then I'm going to select the change order report here. This is available out of the box as one of the templates in here. And then I'm going to give it a name. We're going to call this CCN01. Again, receptacles in activity room 3. And we're going to click Start. And the system is going to generate a change order report for us based on that template. That template can be downloaded if we go to databases here, into our database editor, under templates right here. When I click on that, I have the proposal template area. The change order report is right here, and you can click the green download button, and that's going to download this change order report. And if I just save that and click on that to open it, here we are. This is what the raw template looks like. You have full control over this. You can adjust the formulas in here, the layout of this. You can add your own logos in, any of your standard terms and conditions, Any of those details can be configured within this report template very easily in Excel. And then it can be uploaded using this green plus button here and dragged and dropped in here. Word document, Excel files, any of those sort of things can be used in the proposal engine here. But the Excel files are really advantageous because they bring in the reporting engine with that. And so with that done in here, I have my Excel file. I can adjust this as needed. Includes, we could put something in here that says deduct 4x 15 amp receptacles, add in 4x 15 amp GFI receptacles. And if we look down this report here, we can see that it provides the complete breakdown here with the direct labor hours. It provides a detailed breakout of all of the materials in here for the owner that are included, removed, all of that kind of information in here. Then we have our labor with our journeyman bucket truck in this particular case. We have one crew with that, and it is $150 an hour in there. We've got some indirect labor in here, 0.2 hours at $90 an hour, giving us $18 of indirects in here. And then the total is summed up here for our $334.36. This file can then be downloaded either as a Excel file in here again, or you can download it as a PDF so that you can send this out as your RFQ document here, or sorry, your change order document. So that you can send this out as your change order document. And that is how to perform a simple change order within PataBid Quantify. If we had something a little more unique that we wanted to do in here, we can add further documents in here. I'm going to start another change order in this particular case. Ooh, I don't want a new estimate. I want a new change order. Here we are. And we can call this CCN 02. And maybe we can call this new EMT feeder. And again, select a template for it and hit create. And you'll see that it goes into our change order statistics tracker here, where it's keeping track of any of the key ingredients within these change orders. And here we go. I might want to actually upload some documents in this case. I'm going to use our demo set here. There we go. I have uploaded our demo set. Give it a moment to process that. There we go. Hit open. And in here, I'm going to go down to our power and distribution in this case. And we're going to say that there has been a change order to run a new feeder from the panel in here, this DP1 distribution panel, out to the mechanical room subpanel in here. And I'm going to select our distribution. I'm going to select our feeders here, and we'll run this in number 4. We'll say that there's 3 conductors in here. We'll put it in an 1.5-inch conduit. We just need one run of this. We're going to allow 20 feet of drop length, so 10 feet up and 10 feet down. And then we're going to put a tail length in here of 10 feet. And here we go. We can, the first thing we do need to do here is set the scale on this. There we go. I'm going to use a known dimension here, 6.5 feet. There we are. And we're going to fill this in again. 3 conductor, 1.5 inch, one run of this, 20 feet of drop length, and we're going to allow 10 feet of tail length. And here we go. We can draw this in now. and then right click to complete that, and that's going to go into our estimate here. And let's say that we needed to add a breaker in for this. Now I haven't done any of the calculations on this, so let's just pretend that this is going to be a 100 amp breaker in here. There we go. And it's going to be a 3-pole, and we're going to call this feeder to mech room panel, and this is P2. There we are. And we'll put one of these in and commit that in. Now again, when we go to summary here, we can adjust any of our pricing as necessary, go through the closeout exactly as we've done already, and we can plug that in. Now, if we needed to get a little more creative in here, so let's say that this feeder, first of all, it needed to be demolished. So we have the demolition of this feeder, and then we have the installation of this new feeder. Well, in this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this E4 drawing, and I'm going to say new feeder. There we are. And then I'm going to right click on it, copy clean page, right click on the file above and say paste page. And here we are, we have our new feeder copy. I'm going to just drag this down here, just above there. And I'm going to rename this one. Instead of new feeder, I'm going to call this demo existing feeder. There we are. And now in here, I might have to put in, let's go to our demolition here, and we've got demo feeder. So again, in this case, I've got the scale already set because this was a copy and paste, and I'm simply going to draw this in, and there we go. So now when I go to my summary, I'm going to have a little bit more detail in here, and it's going to show me all of the hours, everything that I need. Again, I've got my demo feeder and wire conduit here. It's given me an allowance of hours for this. I might want to increase this, decrease this. It really depends on the project. In this particular case, I think this is a little bit low. So what I'm going to do is up this to something more in line with the new installation here. There we are. This would be more acceptable if it was down, a straight haul and all we were doing was cutting and capping it, making it safe, and letting the general contractors, laborers pull it down for us. In this case, I'm suggesting we're doing this ourselves, and I might want to allow, say, $1 a foot of this for miscellaneous materials that we might need, clean up, that sort of thing in here. Now, that being said, when we get into the closing now, and we're going to leave it set on drawing, what we're going to see here, though, is the new breakouts. So we've got the new feeder here, and we've got the demolition of the existing feeder. And so I might assign a different crew to one of these. I might have my default crew for the demolition, and then maybe that default crew might be general laborers, whereas I'm going to use my journeyman for the new installation. And we can configure all of that in here so that it makes it very clear what we're including within our labor. Now, coming down to our overheads here, what I would potentially be adding in here is something for the cleanup in here. So I'm going to say cleanup, demolition debris, and if we can, there we are, that looks better. And I'm going to make this a formula. So this is going to be equals, and I'm going to say that we're going to take our factored hours here, and we're going to say 10% of these are for cleanup, and we're going to put that in at $75 an hour. And we'll plug that in. So we've got a couple hours of sweeping and cleanup of the demolition debris. Then again, indirects, I might want to throw in something for a PM here, and we can again use a formula in here. I would, of course, be plugging this in as part of my template, but there we go. I've got some hours in for a PM to do all the shop drawings paperwork that's necessary for this, a shutdown of the panel, that sort of thing that would be necessary if that panel were already live and charged when this change order was called in. In that case, I might want to actually basically make 100% of the labor here, because putting together all of the shutdown plans for a live panel to tie it in is going to take quite a bit of project management work on this. Then we come down here, and again, I'm going to put in my 10% for my markup. I'm going to delete my bonding here, and I've got my clear breakout that I can share with the owner here. When I come down to my proposal, I'm going to call this one CCN02 EMT feeder replacement, and start that. And here we go. We've got all of the details in here so that the owner, the engineer, can evaluate exactly what we're doing. And when I download this, what I would typically do is actually download the individual drawings that I've created here. So to do that, I'm going to use our extract pages to PDF function here. So when I click on that, I'm going to grab these two files or two drawings that I've worked on here, and I'm going to call this CCN02 EMT layout and save this. And it's going to generate for me a brand new PDF that I can then download, attach in to my documentation that I'm going to send over to the engineer. So when I click on that, I'm going to save this. And here we are. I can merge this in and send this over to the engineer. I can put any sort of annotations in here that might be necessary, but it makes everything related to this change order abundantly clear to the owner and the engineer that may have to sign off on this. And again, it all feeds back. So when I look at this change order here, I will have that layout drawing set that I've produced and exported. I've got any other documents attached here. And this all rolls up in here into an overall tracking of the material and hour situation on these change orders. This can be directly exported to Excel, and this becomes incredibly powerful when you are putting together your delay claim, when you have a project that may not have gone quite as smooth as one would have preferred, and you need to show especially what happened with the hours. So we can very easily show here that we need at least another day in here for all of the hours that were added in each of these change orders. So we've got roughly 24 hours in here, so a day for 2 people working on site on average, we could say. So we need a 1-day extension. Obviously, we're not going to fight over 1 day usually, unless it was, say, a 2-day shutdown job. But if it was a larger project and you had many dozens of these change orders on there, this can add up to a very significant amount of time spent on change orders that needs to be captured in the schedule to ensure that all of the costs associated with the overhead, the on-site trailers, all of that componentry is reimbursed. And that is really where tracking everything in here, tracking all of the change orders, becomes incredibly effective within PataBid Quantify.